You are listening to the official podcast of the Good Games Network.
And welcome back for another week of the Untitled GGN Podcast. My name is Zephyrus, joined this week with our three other lovely co-hosts. Crime.
How's everybody doing tonight? I haven't had a lot of time to play some games this week. It's just, if anybody knows me, it's a horrible, horrible time of the year. Don't have a lot of personal time. Work. I did manage to fit in a few hours of Hearthstone. It's pretty easy to just jump in and play and jump out.
And Malamens.
Hello, folks. I didn't actually get a whole lot done this week. I actually played a shit ton of Hearthstone myself, especially when they did the whole revamp and relaunch, and I don't know what they did, but they screwed up my ranking. And it turns out I suck at the game because all these experts were kicking my ass as they were making their way through the ladder. So, lots of Hearthstone.
Didn't they reset the ranks?
Yeah, yes, they reset the ranks, and I got my ass handed to me. It was embarrassing.
And the biggest Blizzard supporter, Craig.
Oh, I love everything Blizzard does.
Fanboy.
Dripping with sarcasm.
I'm still waiting for my coffee to kick in, but I've been playing Batman, Arkham Asylum, and Whizball. Which Whizball, by the way, got more views than Batman, and I thought it would be the other way around. But we also got one of our first YouTube comments saying, "I look young. I don't look 36 years old."
Aww.
Aww.
Vanity looks so good on you.
Well, this week I've been playing Torchlight and Cities in Motion 2. That came on the Humble Bundle. Humbo Jumbo Bundle for this week, or last 2 weeks. And last night we all played, except for Mal. He's yet to join us. We played Borderlands 2, which was super fun.
Nobody could watch the replay because we forgot to check a box, but you just have to trust us when we say it was awesome.
It was super fun.
I say they're making shit up. This is all in your imagination.
It happened. And big ups to a kid named Oddity who joined us and was our fourth and kind of carried us and helped us along.
Whatever. No, that is not the way it happened. I was the one carrying everyone. Nobody even knew it was going on. They're like, we're just running in circles as I'm running around saying, let's go here and do this quest. Let's go here and do this quest. So carry my ass. And the major news this week was the YouTube Content ID bot wreaking havoc throughout YouTube land. We're going to break this down into pretty simple terms so that people who may be confused about what's going on aren't as confused anymore. What is happening is YouTube created a Content ID bot that looks for copyrighted material in uploaded videos. That is then being flagged, then the monetization of that video is stopped. This is a lot different than getting a DMCA, which is what, Mal, you said it earlier?
It's a Digital Millennium Copyright Act takedown notice.
Okay, so it's a lot different than that because
Yes.
it isn't being taken down. They're just having the monetization removed from the video.
Right. This is Google's attempt to preemptively stop them. Because if Google gets a DMCA notice, they're on the hook.
Yes.
Whereas this Content ID bot is essentially, it's Google trying to be proactive and stopping any potential videos that may cause a DMCA takedown notice.
But the bot is broken.
Yes.
It's to kind of a point in case or case in point. A developer, Jonathan Blow, revealed that the Content ID was flagged on a video he uploaded for his upcoming game, The Witness. And he got he tweeted out saying even months before this big change, YouTube sent him a violation notice saying that the footage for The Witness was owned by Sony, which it's not.
Right.
He's publishing the game on the Sony network, but he still owns all of the copyright of that game. This is also happening to different, much like we do with walkthroughs and Let's Plays and any of the videos that we would upload. We don't own the video, but we are playing it, and we'll always go with the development studios that have said it's allowed. Much like Blizzard has said, go ahead, use the videos, you can monetize them.
So any game by Nintendo is off the list.
Yes, Nintendo is one of the ones that has said no. Craig, you do a lot of videos. You have like 600 on your channel, don't you?
Excuse me, over 900.
Over 900.
Seriously?
Thank you very much.
Yeah. So, have you had any of yours? Or yours aren't monetized, are they?
I don't monetize, but every now and again I get content ID claims. But they've all been stupid and weird, like companies that don't exist or companies that have nothing to do with the videos. But because I don't monetize, I've been able to dispute them and get them to go away. So, other people haven't been so lucky. I have 938 videos, just to be technical.
Wow.
1 out of 1,000 under it.
Soon. I'll get there soon.
Get cracking.
So you haven't been hitting this last round of content.
Not recently, no.
No.
But yeah, every now and again I get weird stuff. Sometimes they say audio content claim and they'll give you a time code, and when I look at the time in the video, there's nothing happening, it's just silence.
Well, that would be much like the 4Gamer movie that has been filing a number of illegitimate claims. And what happens when they file or have been filing, the monetization is then routed to them, and then they are being paid for that. Which is another part of this whole thing going on this week.
Yeah, pretty much. The big thing has been like a lot of, I mean, we're not going to be alone in this, but a lot of people, they use YouTube and, they create the videos. They join specifically what's called multi-channel networks like Machinima Network or TGN, which is also a network. And since they're monetizing these videos, these networks will take a portion of the cut, and these networks are supposed to protect the users who are trying to monetize the video from content ID and takedown notices. And the reason it's become really prevalent, especially this week, is one, the bot has just gone batshit crazy, but two, YouTube has decided to bypass these network channels. And so all these red flags are going up everywhere. So people who are monetizing their videos are now losing their monetization. Some of it is to, as Zeph pointed out, false claims, like the 4Games movie or whatever the hell that thing is called. And other times it's just simply the bot is, being stupid, like in the case with NASA. NASA, on their official NASA YouTube channel, they have footage from the Mars rover, which I don't think anyone can claim any copyright on the Mars rover other than NASA, and even that got flagged.
I own Mars, so
yeah.
I should be getting paid for that. Just saying.
But the other
I
issue
would have loved if the sarcastic rover from Twitter actually filed the DMCA.
That would have been awesome. That would have been awesome. But the big thing is, a lot of it has to do with, it's not so much the game developers, it's also the music company, it's the music license holders that have also been filing claims too. Like Rumblefish is a big one. If you don't know what Rumblefish is, it's a generic licensing company that does generic sounds like birds tweeting, background noises, windstorms, and all that. And Rumblefish has been throwing out numerous claims out there. And even though these companies, these video games even though they license the sound from Rumblefish, doesn't mean that they can also be in the game too. Doesn't mean that Rumblefish has given explicit permission for the user to use those sounds in their video, if that makes sense. It's kind of like the best way that I can put it is music. There's a song like The Secret World, for example, has a couple songs, actual songs from actual artists, and The Secret World license those songs to put into their game, but they don't own the license for their players to record those songs and put it up on their YouTube channel, which is also causing issues too. And this is where the whole issue of, is it depending on what you're doing, whether it falls under fair use or not.
So would you consider those sounds fair use? to use in your videos if you're playing the game?
It depends on what you're doing. If it's a review, then yes, it's fair use. If it's a specific walkthrough, like this is how you do this dungeon and stuff like that, yes, that's fair use. Believe it or not, just straight up let's play, regular videos, this is me playing the game. Believe it or not, it's a common misconception, but that's technically not fair use. It's not a derivative or satire like a walkthrough or a parody or a review is. So it's a very shady ground. Now, for the most part, developers have been very supportive of this because they realize this is good advertising. This is free advertising. This is free PR. But in some cases, not all of them, but in some cases, yeah, there are situations where the music person who actually owns the copyright on the music did not. They licensed it to the video game. They did not license it to the YouTube users. So that's getting thrown in with the mix, with the false identifications, and then with the scammers who are putting up false claims. And this all happened this week. So it's just a giant. Can I say the bad word? Cluster bad word?
This is one that it would work. This is a giant clusterfuck.
It is a huge clusterfuck. And to make it even worse, it's YouTube right now, as of this recording, they're posturing so they're making it sound like they're not going to do anything about it, which actually really maybe end up being the bigger story. I mean, people who know me well know I am not a sky is falling type person. I'm usually the one that looks at people and tells them to shut the hell up when it comes to the sky is falling rhetoric, but there's a lot of companies, there's a lot of people who make their living, very few, but make a good portion of money monetizing these YouTube videos that are now literally losing them. Some of the major channels are getting somewhere between 60 to 100 of their videos, getting their monetization cut off. It's cutting into their income, and there's serious rumblings of going somewhere else, of posting their videos somewhere else. So.
This is people with 2 or 3 million subscribers.
Yeah, these are.
This isn't,
This isn't us trying to
Joe
pay for
Blow,
the website.
but there's this isn't just 1 or 2 videos, no subscribers. I mean, these are major personalities on the YouTube network that are saying we're done, we're going somewhere else, because they are following the rules and they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're still getting messed with by Google themselves now. Not even just false claims, but now Google themselves and their content ID bot is screwing with them. So yeah. I could see how they'd be willing to leave. I mean, developers, it's going as not even just personalities, but developers who are putting out stuff on YouTube and using YouTube as a platform are getting messed with. So I'm really interested to see how YouTube is going to kind of answer, or at least what they're going to say. They're just rushing around in their offices trying to think of something good to kind of come back and say what's going to happen.
They seem pretty oblivious at the moment to what the people actually using YouTube are feeling. Considering this isn't the first time they've had problems. They integrated Google Plus, everyone hated it. They changed the comment system and everyone hated it. But they're still doing these stupid mistakes that nobody likes.
Well, the Google Plus, and this is kind of off gaming and stuff, but the Google Plus and the comment system, I can almost see why they did. The Google Plus, they need to integrate their own social media more into a highly what's the word I'm thinking of, visible product. They want to bring their product into the highly visible product that they have. So I can understand that, but this isn't even having anything to do with that kind of stuff. But yes, it's kind of their track record the last couple of weeks to just continually do stuff that people are really angry with.
What blew my mind is when they updated the comment system and it clearly wasn't working. They made it easier for people to spam comments. But they were saying to everyone, "Oh, this comment system is awesome. There's no spam anymore." So it was like their right hand doesn't know what the left hand is doing over at Google.
Have they come out and said anything in response to any of this yet? I haven't.
Not that I know
anything.
Working as intended. If people are having issues with Content ID, the dispute system is still working.
And the dispute system is like months long, isn't it?
Well, it normally takes on average about a month for the whole thing to go through to begin with, and with the this sudden flood of of new games.
Sorry.
See, Google, you
Copyright
just killed
claim.
Mario. Oh, that's right. You may have to cut that out now.
Copyright.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Well, the issue is, part of it is also corporate mindset. And while we're doing our pre-show, I don't want to say warm-up, but pre-show discussion and going over things, Crime, you brought up a thing about, how this is really more corporate than anything else.
Mm-hmm. I approached this issue from the standpoint of a person who was born a very long time ago, before the internet was invented, kind of time ago. Not everybody can understand that time. It was distant and trust me. But there was a time when human beings actually controlled very important decisions, such as who can earn money off of what project they're working on. And here we have a situation where Google is fully automating all of their systems with YouTube, to make it to a point where it's nameless and faceless, and anybody can do anything to essentially mess with someone's career on YouTube. Unfortunately, Google, from a cost-saving measure, just simply isn't paying employees, to monitor this system, YouTube, correctly. It would be interesting to see if more people get involved and they could turn this around to give it a more personal touch, so we don't have these big long queues times for having issues resolved. They could just immediately get done when people are looking at this from a logical and reasonable standpoint, rather than just having a zero tolerance across the board.
If they want a more personal touch, they should hire me, because I have tons of customer service experience. And I'll contact everyone personally, and they'll love me.
This whole situation almost reminds me of, what was it, sometime in the 80s when cassette tapes, and you could record off the cassette tapes, and there was the whole...
Oh, record songs off the radio.
Yeah, It kind of reminds me of the battle that happened then. I'm wondering if it's going to turn into something kind of major like that.
Well, that's what Google is actually trying to avoid. The whole, I think actually, was that when the Digital Millennial Act started, or did that come later? I forget, but yeah, the whole the RIAA, evil sons of bitches that they are. The whole our sales will go down, we will lose money because people will be copying and pirating and doing all kinds of stuff. We're going to go bankrupt. The whole music industry will go bankrupt because that happened. But that had to do more with straight up piracy, where this is just people creating their own content, but they're also taking from other items to have copyright. Similar but different enough, I guess.
That's what I mean. It's similar. It made me think of that when I first heard the story. Was that it's similar, not the same, of course, because that's. Anyway.
Yeah, technology and the whole internet thing is progressing a lot faster than the major companies, major corporations are moving. So it's not over yet, and I would not be surprised to hear people. Yeah, like I said before, I don't think we've heard the last of this. This story's going to continue. It's going to continue to move on. But speaking of train wrecks. This is something I've been following for a while, and some of you may know the story, but 38 Studios, which is the tragic story of Curt Schilling's dream MMO company that he created, because turns out he was a huge MMO player, played a lot of World of Warcraft, was a huge fan of EverQuest, decided once he retired, took his retirement money to create a studio, to create a MMO that he wanted to play, called Project Copernicus, and in the process, purchased a company called Big Huge Games, which then they put out Kingdoms of Amalur. And then they moved to Rhode Island, and suddenly Rhode Island gave them $75 million. And about this time last year, it turned out that there was no way 38 Studios could pay back the loan in any way, shape, or form. And unfortunately, people found out they didn't have a job because turned out that their paychecks bounced, and it was a giant mess to begin with. So 38 Studios, because of the deal they struck with the state of Rhode Island, put up the IP and all their assets as collateral for the $75 million. Well, as things go, they couldn't pay back the loan, so the state of Rhode Island is out $75 million, and they owned all the assets from 38 Studios. In an attempt to reclaim some of that money that, frankly, they're never going to see, they did put up a special auction where they were going to auction off all the IPs, all the physical stuff, all the physical goods, and then, of course, all the intellectual properties and art assets and everything for that. This was supposed to happen about a month ago. That didn't happen because the people running the auction said that they were getting so much interest of other companies, especially from Asia. Your Korean and your Chinese companies started expressing interest in purchasing the Project Copernicus IP and assets. They decided to delay the auction because of a higher interest, because people, they were getting more interest. Well, that auction came and went, and while they did sell some of the assets, they did sell big, huge games, all their assets and all their intellectual properties. Project Copernicus, the MMO itself, which, by the way, was supposed to be free to play, Project Copernicus did not sell. And the reason for it is, and I quote, there was not an acceptable offer.
Which leads one to believe or start questioning and wondering, what was Rhode Island trying to get out of this? What was their acceptable threshold for what they wanted to receive? I don't know in this day and age how many developers are just chomping at the bit to get an IP that did okay.
2 million copies for Kingdoms of Amalur. Which for a console game is pretty good. It's not, it's up there.
Yeah. I just don't know how much legs it would have had in the current state of the AAA MMO market, with EverQuest Next coming out and with the Elder Scrolls Online coming out and World of Warcraft still being the juggernaut that it is, and also with Rift continuing, as well as Guild Wars 2 being successful. How many fantasy MMOs can the world support?
I think a lot more than we might realize, because they're just last week we talked about Path of Exile. I know it's not an MMO, but it's still a free-to-play and in that same kind of genre. It looks like dragons and elves. So
Sorry, go.
I think that the market is probably able to support another fantasy type MMO.
I'm not so sure, because literally everyone I know says to me they're absolutely sick of fantasy games and just fantasy in general, even like books and TV. It seems like we've reached a saturation point.
I disagree about hitting the saturation point, but I think it has to do more with, I think Crime was onto it, where, there's no way, the state of Rhode Island has to know they're never going to see that $75 million. They are out. That's on the taxpayers, which sucks. But how much were they honestly expecting? My completely uneducated but still opinionated guess was going to be that one of the Korean companies, someone like Perfect World or NCSoft, was going to swoop in, drop $1 million, maybe $2 million on all the assets, buy them up, finish developing the game, and just push it out the door. Because the game was going to be set up as a free-to-play game to begin with. So just finish the coding and push the game out the door. So my question was, which is wholly possible, I'm probably well off base, but were these companies lowballing it, saying, we're only going to spend $200,000, $300,000 instead of a couple million? Or was the state of Rhode Island trying to get something ridiculous like maybe $25-30 million?
I would have to believe the latter, because $200,000-$300,000 is, I would imagine, is chump change. Yeah. For someone that wants to develop a AAA MMO that already has a lot of the assets required and just needs to staff it and maintain it. I don't see there being a reasonable, acceptable threshold for the state of Rhode Island. I think they were probably asking for like $50 million or something like that, something outrageous, because they have one person, some secretary or something that works for the governor that plays WoW and says, I think you can get a lot of money for this. I'm sure it's more complex than that, but I just don't see it. The way games are being released these days, if it is a low number, if it's less than 7 figures, I can't imagine somebody wouldn't just snarf it up. If for nothing else, to prevent another company from buying it and releasing it and being successful with it. Something like
EA swooping in.
Yeah, like what ZeniMax did with Interplay.
Yeah.
The Fallout MMO IP. They basically just took that IP to bury it, to make sure that Interplay could not release an MMO and make money off of it, which is one of the greatest tragedies of the modern gaming world, but I'm not going to get into all that.
No, I think you're right along the line. I just have a hard time imagining. I mean, I would think $1 million, $2 million. I mean, granted, when you have all the coding may have to be redone or reworked at least, because I know that when you have a whole new team going in to coding that they had nothing to do, it can take a while. It can even be even more work to figure out what the previous developers were trying to do. So in that regard, it may just be easier to grab all the art assets and build the game themselves. But I would find it hard to believe that dropping $1 million or $2 million would be very easy for someone like NCSoft or Perfect World from Korea, or even SOE. They love Sony Online. They love picking up games like this and could easily just finish the development. They have the funds to do it, push the game out in a year, maybe 2, and just collect on the money. So I have a sneaking suspicion that the state of Rhode Island was asking the Korean companies started making noise that they were interested, and my suspicion, not verifiable in any way, but I have my suspicion is the state of Rhode Island may have gotten too greedy, which is a shame because as much as I've been watching this train wreck, it really needs to come to an end. It really does. Yeah. It needs to be put to rest, but I know personally I'm fascinated by it, so.
It's an interesting story. I'm as likely to play a completed Copernicus title as I am to pound a nail into my eyeball. So,
well, I'm from Philadelphia, so I got a lot of love for Kurt Schilling, even though he does piss me off. But still, I would have played it. So that's all. But
even though he completely misappropriated funds to the point where he buried his own company and sabotaged it.
Well, I used to like Kurt Schilling. I like him as a
villain. You could even
thanks. You ruined that.
I'm sorry, Kurt. It was Mitch Williams' fault. It wasn't yours.
Yeah. You could even cut this out, but there's an interesting part about that where there was an IP that was purchased, which was the tactics version of an RTS game called Rise of Nations.
Yeah.
So somebody actually thought something was worthwhile, but I'm wondering, why was 38 Studios working on another game when they could have been using that money for Kingdoms of Amalur DLC and Project Copernicus?
Well, I think 38 Studios falling apart had to do with two things. One, the executive staff, the CEOs and all of them, not Schilling himself, but the people directly under him that he hired, fucked up. And they fucked up in a major way. But yeah, Rise of Nations was actually an IP that Big Huge Games owned, which 38 Studios had purchased. And that did sell. Big Huge Games and all their IP sold to the tune of $300,000. That all sold, but I have my suspicion, part of the reason not only was the money grossly mismanaged, but they took on way too many projects at one time. I think he got 38 Studios definitely got way too big before it really had any serious financial footing underneath it, which is just, the whole thing is a tragedy. For those of you who suffer from nostalgia and maybe wearing a brown t-shirt with a Tyrannosaurus Rex and a Stegosaurus on it, and the Stegosaurus says, curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal. Craig, I really am wearing that shirt, by the way.
Firefly! I'm pretty sure we're all nerds, so everyone knows what happened to Firefly on TV. I don't need to rehash that. But since the movie, everyone's been crying out for more Firefly. And pretty soon we'll get it in the form of Firefly Online, a multiplayer strategic role-playing game being developed by Quantum Mechanics in partnership with Sparkplug Games, two companies I've never heard of. It's a fully licensed game, by the way. It is an official game from Fox, or licensed from Fox. You'll be able to fly in a variety of ships through 3D space in real time, and the combat is turn-based. But still 3D, where you control your crew and give them orders throughout your ship. It really sounds like a 3D version of FTL, but I loved FTL, so it could potentially turn out to be good. The release date they've just announced is set for summer 2014. So stay tuned to their website, keepflying.com. It sounds sort of interesting, but what turned me off from it is they describe it as a single-player game with social features, which makes me think of Facebook game. Now, I don't want to. I don't want to be playing a Firefly game and then get a little message saying Zephyrus just reached level 10. I know. Go visit her spaceship.
She'll never get that high.
Whatever.
So potentially it could be good, but I've never actually played a browser game before, so I don't know if I'd try it. I'm keeping my eye out though.
Not to sound snobbish or anything, but yeah, I don't like browser games. They tend to be crap.
There's a lot of really good browser games. Settlers is rather fun for a browser game. So I think if it's done right, it can be a rather fun game. But I'll probably play it no matter what, just because I love Firefly. I'm really hoping they maybe have Nathan Fillion in there because he's my boyfriend. He doesn't know it yet, but he is.
I mean, I'll put this up there with like when the Doctor Who quote unquote MMO came out. God, was it a year ago at this point? Which was also a browser game. Because I love Firefly, I love Serenity. I am absolutely a browncoat through and through. I'll give it a go. When it comes out, I'll take a look at it. They did say they're coming out summer 2014, but they later in the next few months they'll come out with an actual payment model and a more specific date. So that's coming later. But I mean, I'll put it up there with the Doctor Who browser MMO. I had fun. I enjoyed it. I played it for maybe an hour, and I was just like, okay, that was my kick of nostalgia. I'll move on. I think that's my main point is Firefly's dead, folks. Don't get me wrong. I love it. I love it. I really do. But it's time to let go. It's been over a decade.
Well, Josh just came out, like 2 or 3 months ago and finally said there will never be another, at least from him, there will never be another Firefly show.
That's sad, but at some point you need to give up.
Well, all the actors have moved on. I mean, Nathan Fillion, he's now better known for his role as Richard Castle than he is for Malcolm Reynolds.
Sure.
Gina Torres, she's in some basic cable lawyer show. I mean, Marina, however you say her last name, pops up in whatever TV series. Summer Glau was did the Terminator 2 series and the Cape series. And Jewel State was, I think she went to, no, I'm not a nerd, so I'll stop. But
she went into Stargate.
She did, she went into Stargate. Alan Tudyk has actually had a pretty decent movie career, starting with iRobot and then Dale and Tucker versus Evil, and even though he won't get nominated for political reasons, he had a fantastic, I would say, at least Oscar-nominated worthy performance in 42 as the incredibly racist Philadelphia Phillies manager. Why are you saying such mean things to Jackie Robinson? That's all I could think of when I was watching 42.
I'll take a little bit of heat here. I am admittedly one of the, I think, 14 people worldwide that will openly admit that I have zero interest in the Firefly IP whatsoever.
Okay.
I watched 4 episodes, and they were all right. I watched the movie Serenity. I thought it was all right, but it was not something that I ever really wanted to, like, not only follow on a regular basis, but pine after, well after it was put into the ground. Actually, for some reason, I actually like the Angel series better, but I'm not going to get into all that. So send all your hate comments at goodgamesnetwork.com.
To STFU at goodgamesnetwork.com. No.
Yeah.
That gets routed directly to crime.
I'll take it all, man. I got my asbestos suit on. Flame away.
Well, now for a feel-good story, after we've talked about train wrecks and nostalgia.
And crime shitting on Firefly. Screw you, crime.
It was very average.
You can stop now before you get shot.
Actually, can I go off book real quick before we go on to the next story?
Okay.
Okay. Honestly, don't get me wrong. I love Firefly. Like I said, I'm wearing the t-shirt now. I used to have a brown coat zip hoodie that unfortunately, when I had my fall, the MTs cut it off with scissors instead of unzipping it, bastards. But I mean, I'm a huge brown coat. But I've long said that part of the mythology behind Firefly was the fact that it got canceled. Had it been able to run like a 4, 5, maybe 6 seasons, I don't think it would have had the massive mythology behind it that it has now. So I was going to say that. I was going to say 90% of the nostalgia is because it was cut short, and people, their dreams of what it could be,
what it could have
been.
Yeah, what it could have been is probably a heck of a lot bigger than what it would have been or was.
Right, and
we wouldn't have gotten a movie, and I don't think this game would have even existed if the show had actually run for longer.
But then again, they have really classic moments like Jane's song that is just, I need to download that and have it for my ringtone now that I think about it. But anyway.
Big damn hero, sir. That's one of my personal favorites. Okay, so on to happier stuff. Wizard 101, which is, if you have children, is actually a very fantastic game. It is a very kid-friendly game. I've tried it out myself, although I did feel really creepy creating a female character, a female tune in a kid-friendly game.
You should.
Yeah, it's the only time I've ever had that experience. It's like, this is probably bad. Anyway. Yeah. Wizard 101 and Make-A-Wish Foundation, they teamed up to give poor little he's gonna croak soon. I don't know how to word it any better than that, but they did team up.
Miracles happen, sir. Miracles
they do
happen.
Well, since the kid had the Make-A-Wish Foundation, he's screwed, so it's official with the universe right now. But they did team up. The kid's name is Alan. And essentially what they did, what Wizard 101, which is King Isle Entertainment, which is the developer, Make-A-Wish Foundation flew him out to Austin, which is where King Isle is situated. And they gave him a tour of the studio. He did get to create a new NPC. He's not going to voice it, but he did get to pick the actor who was going to voice his NPC in the game. And of course, he got to see some brand new content that him and his family actually had to sign an NDA and can't talk about. So it's just a nice, good, feel-good story, because we saw this before, 4, 5, 6 years ago with the World of Warcraft kid creating that quest in Mulgore. So
the dog quest, I was thinking of that. The find the dog quest.
Have you seen my dog? Yep.
And they outfitted his character with everything that was end game at that point.
Yeah, it's just it's nice to know that it's out there. Like I said, Wizard 101, I actually enjoyed. It's a fun little game, good little time waster. But it's just, it's always nice, especially since gamers get a lot of shit, unnecessary crap that we get dumped on us, saying that we're all evil bastards. It's just nice to see a feel-good story like this. And congratulations to King Isle for treating this kid good, even though he's going to die and can only appreciate it for a couple more years. But still, good on you. Someone stop me, please.
Sad. Just quit saying that he's going to die.
I think your definition of feel good and my definition of feel good are two different things.
Yeah. Here's a feel good story. Kid's gonna die. So moving on.
Yeah, just keep going. I'm done. Go.
Minecraft has recently released that they have over 10 million players on their Xbox 360 and 13 million on PC. They've also come out and said, I think, which is the bigger news than the numbers, Minecraft is going to be coming to the PlayStation Network, PS3 first, and then 4 and Vita, and of course it'll be on Xbox One. Have any of you guys played Minecraft? Because I'm probably one of the 14 people in the universe who haven't.
I used to play Minecraft a lot, but it's one of those games that I get bored the more I play it.
Yes. I have it.
I've never played it myself. I can imagine that a young crime would have never logged out of it. I would have been in it 24/7 forever. But now, it's not something that would interest me.
If you want to see what it looks like, go to my YouTube channel, Who is Craig, and I've got Minecraft videos. One of them has 16,000 views.
Wow.
Along with the 1,000 videos that you have.
That was the first game I did when I wanted to start Let's Playing 2 years ago.
Yeah, Minecraft is definitely the ultimate sandbox game. I played it, I purchased it when I was in the hospital for 3 months, I purchased it just so I had something to do. But ever since I left the hospital, I'm with Crime. Crime is right. I'm with Craig. It's the more I played it, especially once I left the hospital. It's just the more I played it, the faster I got bored with it.
4J Studios did announce that they're just testing it for the PS3 now, and they will be confirming closer to launch. There's no release dates. They're kind of all very much up in the air, quotes, for when all of that will be done.
Yeah. Although the big thing to remember, with especially when we talk about numbers, is the 10 million on Xbox and 13 on PC. That's just how many people bought the game. That's not concurrent users.
Yes.
Because I'm that part of that 13 million on PC, and believe me, I do not have it installed on my laptop anymore. So, speaking of numbers getting smaller, that segue doesn't work, but we're going to go with it anyway because CCP has some news, and we haven't heard enough from Crime this week.
Yeah, 15 is a number that's smaller. After some tweets that intimated such earlier this week, the story of approximately 15 employees of CCP, of the European developer who brought to us the wildly successful and popular EVE Persistent World MMO and the linked game Dust 514, had been working on a game called it's an unfinished game called The World of Darkness, another MMO. These 15 people have been laid off. It's unfortunate timing because it's happening right before the holidays, but in some ways it's almost expected given the current climate of game development and how game designers have almost become temporary employees. My question, actually I have two questions for you. First, is the World of Darkness MMO something that's on your radar? And two, were these employees actually CCP designers that are working on such things as level design and balance and graphics, or were they their merged company White Wolf's employees that were working on things like character story arc and development of the RPG aspect of it?
That's a lot of questions.
That is a lot.
Two.
Just real quick, I'll let you guys go first, but I do want to point out that World of Darkness is a game based on White Wolf's game, The Masquerade.
Correct.
Yes. It did
The
seem
vampire
like...
It's a vampire game. Yep.
Oh my gosh. There needs to be
now
more
it's on Steph's
vampire
radar.
games. Oh my goodness. I will totally play this. I don't even care anymore. There needs to be more vampire games. I'm tired of nobody making good vampire games. Anyway.
It did seem to be very similar to The Secret World in like story and atmosphere and setting, so it was definitely something I wanted to check out.
It's basically vampires versus vampire hunters.
I think it would make more sense that they would be laying off maybe the development or the graphic or coder or designer that, the actual nuts and bolts of the game, maybe not the story writer.
The people who built the engine.
Yeah, because you already have those, and if you don't need them as much anymore, you need less of them. It makes more sense rather than the person telling the story, because it would be really jarring if you're mid-story to go from one person's head to another. Like, you may not understand. I don't think it would be very seamless to go from one storyteller to another mid-story. So I think it's probably the designers.
There's always people being laid off within the MMO development cycle. Every MMO that I've ever followed has that phase where they lay off a lot of people.
Oh, it's not MMOs, it's gaming in general. Pretty much console, PC gaming, MMOs, they really are just contractors is really what they are. But I don't know if it's, I don't have an answer to your question whether they're CCP employees or White Wolf employees, but I think part of the reason why this makes a little bit of news is because there has been some moderate excitement around the idea of Vampire the Masquerade MMO coming out. But I guess it was almost 2 years ago, they went through another round of layoffs when CCP shut down the New Orleans office and moved everything to the Atlanta office. And they lost a lot of people who are working on the Masquerade. And they said at the time that Masquerade was getting moved to the back burner. And now it's almost 2 years later, and we're hearing about more layoffs in reference to this game. So part of me is wondering if we're ever even going to see this game.
Don't say that. Break my heart.
I
just found out about it
a second ago.
Steph's all excited. It's not going to happen. Damn it.
Break my heart.
Otherwise, I could care less. I never got into Masquerade, the Vampire the Masquerade. So it just, to me, was okay. I probably would have checked it out because I'm with Craig on narrative, especially narrative games and MMOs and stuff like that. But other than that, I was not excited and no idea.
Would you return the game if you had the chance?
Would I what?
Return it for your money back.
Vampire the Masquerade is $3 on GOG at the moment.
Oh, okay. I see what we're doing.
See the segue. We're trying for a segue and you're not helping.
Vampire the Masquerade is $3 on GOG.com at the moment. Good old games. And they've just announced there's now a worldwide money-back guarantee, so you can return it. If the deal is, if there's a problem with the game, they'll try to fix it, and if they can't fix it within 30 days, you can get your money back. Or if you bought the game by mistake, or you just changed your mind and you haven't downloaded it yet, then you can return it within 14 days and get your money back. Which is something even Steam doesn't do. So that's pretty good news. I've bought a whole ton of games. I got The Witcher 2 from GOG, so that's why I'm playing it. And actually, yesterday, GOG, Good Old Games had Fallout 1, 2, and Tactics for free. So that's how cool they are. I love Good Old Games. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, see, I'm annoyed. I wish Steam would pick this up because I had this, they had their major sale recently, and I purchased a game. It's actually called The Guild, which is a sim game of sorts. I picked The Guild 2. I picked that up, and even though my computer meets the system requirements without any issues, the game just won't work on my laptop. But because with Steam, all sales are final, I can't get my money back, whereas if I had purchased that through Good Old Games, I wouldn't have that issue. So I'm a little annoyed at Steam right now.
How long ago was it? It had to be probably within the last year that Steam announced that they were going, or not announced, it was a rumor that they were going to look into doing trading, that if you didn't want that game anymore, even if you'd have played it and downloaded it, you could trade it to me or gift it to me.
Yeah, it was within the last year. I don't remember how. It wasn't that long ago. I don't remember when, but they were discussing about doing selling back a digital property that you essentially would sell it back to Steam for like $1 or $2, or you can give it to your friend and they can purchase it for like $1 or $2. I mean, it's just it wasn't like if you purchased a $40 game, you were getting the $40 back. You're only going to get a couple bucks back. But they had talked about that. As far as I'm aware, though, they never actually did anything about it.
No, I don't think they have. I really wish they would, because there's games that are on my account that I would gift to people that I'm never going to play ever again, and for whatever reason. So
yeah, the thing about Steam is that Steam to me seems like a company that are going to make money regardless, so they don't really have the motivation to change their policies.
Yeah, they keep doing those big sales, so I guess your justification or their justification is wait 6 months and we're going to have it for $2. So spend your money then.
I'm curious to see how people are going to try and cheat the system, because I can guarantee you there are an awful lot of people that saw this announcement and said, how can I get some free shit, right? Because that motivation to get free stuff is really, 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 really strong for a lot of people, to the point where they will pirate games. I personally am not a fan of people not paying developers for the entertainment they're receiving, but I just want to see the people that are buying Fallout for $2 and then playing it for 30 hours and having it show up on their Raptor stats that they played Fallout for 30 hours, and then 28 days later saying, I need to return this because it doesn't work on my machine. And then how is Good Old Games going to approach that? Are they going to just immediately refund the money, or are they going to launch an investigation for the $2 game? It'll be interesting to see. I'm not familiar with. with Good Old Games' business model, but I mean, they could probably lose no money. They could probably lose a lot of money. I don't know.
Well, I know for the whole my game doesn't work, you actually have to deal with their with their tech support. So you actually have to go through their tech support to get that money back. The other one is if you don't download it.
Yeah.
If you don't
you
download
can't
it.
download it at all in order to be able to get your full money back later.
Yeah, and if it doesn't work, getting your money back will be like a last resort. They're going to try to fix it first.
Yeah, they're going to try and get you to to not give you your money back. I mean, they're not going to just be like, "Hey guys, here's your money."
Yeah.
So how long before we see
I
got Fallout for free? Give me my money back.
Someone's going to try it.
Yeah.
Sorry. By the way, I just want to mention a friend of mine won like every single game on Good Old Games a while ago, and I hate her now.
Yeah, I would too.
That's not me, by the way.
No. Somebody else.
I was like, wow, who would? That was not me. Just so we all know.
I don't hate her. I shouldn't say that because she might listen. I'm just jealous.
So another thing that people love to hate, the NSA.
Earlier this week, it was announced that Eric Snowden, the infamous NSA leaker, released some documents that government agencies were planting agents inside such games as World of Warcraft and Second Life to potentially gain information on possible terrorist activity. So many agents, in fact, that they, according to CNN, apparently so many agents were engaged in playing video games for national security that a deconfliction group was created to make sure government agents were accidentally spying on each other.
That sounds like the plot of a bad movie.
It does, doesn't it?
Oh my goodness! It's like
it's pretty incredible how much of this fiasco is present in so many media outlets. I personally want to congratulate however many agents were playing WoW on their T1 connections in probably, I'm assuming, top of the line machines purchased specifically for this program, all based on taxpayer money, by the way, to go in and, start farming, start raiding and everything to potentially get somebody to say, you know what? I've been thinking about, don't tell anybody this, but I've been thinking about blowing up a building.
That needs to be bleeped out.
What?
Nothing. I was making a joke that nobody got.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's true. I can hear the sirens. They're coming. They're already coming for me.
He was saying we blow up a building.
Exactly. But the interesting part to the story for me is the fact that Blizzard is one company that said we had no knowledge of this. We weren't participating in this. They were we know nothing about this. But I don't see how that's true if the NSA was actually conducting a proper investigation. Let's say they found somebody who said, I think terrorism's kind of cool, so I'm gonna look into that, the terrorism thing. And NSA agent's like, cool, we got this guy, right? Who is it? Mm-hmm. They don't know who it is. They know that it's XXX Sephiroth XXX, right? They don't know who that person is unless they actually go through the process of contacting Blizzard and saying, hey, we know this character on this server. Give us that account information so we can look into this further. If Blizzard denies this, A, they're lying. B, the NSA agents aren't doing anything efficient in order to conduct their business in investigating. It'd be like a police officer saying, you know what, there was just a bank robbery, and I'm pretty sure that bank robber visits strip clubs. So I'm going to, in my investigative process, go to every strip club in the city every night for the next month, and I'm going to nab this guy. Well, there's no context there, right? It's like me saying my favorite crayon color back in the day was burnt sienna. There's no context. It doesn't mean anything. Who cares? Now, if a dancer approached a police officer and said, hey, there's this guy who comes in every Tuesday night and he makes it rain with all these funny bills that have blue paint splattered all over them, then the police officer can say, hey, we can get this guy. So this whole story about how the NSA has been conducting this business through video games is mind-boggling to me, that all this money could be potentially wasted on there being no actual results.
Well, as a game developer, especially Blizzard or any of them, do you really think you're going to admit, with all of the storm that happens around saying, yes, we let people spy on you? I wouldn't admit it. I would be lying out. That never happened. I don't know.
Blizzard outright denies it, and so does Microsoft, because they were digging around on Xbox Live too. But Linden Lab, the maker behind Second Life, decided to go with no comment.
Ooh, that's suspicious.
But my point is, nobody's going to admit it.
No.
Nobody would admit it, because
that would be disastrous PR.
Yes. So of course Blizzard's working with them and it gave them information. Of course they did. Blizzard is not gonna. I wouldn't. And if it comes out later that they did, I'm not going to be mad at Blizzard either, because the government starts knocking on your door. You don't have a whole lot of choices. You either piss everybody off or piss everybody off. So, yeah, I can see them not lying to us, not telling us the truth.
But are you guys surprised that this actually has happened? That they were
I'm a little
not at all.
I mean, I'm not surprised because, the NSA with the NSA, but I'm a little surprised that you're looking in World of Warcraft, I guess. I've never encountered anybody other than the angry 12-year-old who's, raging because he lost the purple.
I get the point that that the NSA considers games like this an effective communication tool.
It is.
Right? Like you could just log into a game and use it as a chat room, or you could just whisper somebody, and if that's not monitored at all, then you wouldn't. It's not incriminating at all.
Isn't there chat logs though? I mean, I'm sorry to kind of cut you off, but there's chat logs, because if you report someone for inappropriate behavior, when you do that, you put in the time and where you were and who it was and what server they're from, and the Blizzard employee can pull that and see what you said.
Well, on Blizzard's side, there's chat logs, yeah.
Yes, that's what I mean. Is it's not like it couldn't be monitored. I mean,
well, your average two people talking back and forth, and especially in tells, is not. Yeah, whispers is not monitored. No, it's an incredibly effective tool, because I mean, when we were playing, you're in Australia, I'm on the East Coast. Our good friend BC was on the West Coast. We got crime here, and where the hell are you anyway?
New Zealand, by the way, not Australia.
What?
Yeah, I am not an Aussie. Thank you very much.
You said Zeph was in Australia.
Yeah.
Please don't tell Nick I said that. Well, that's what I mean. It's we had one of our guildmates who did go over to Iraq and would log in occasionally from Iraq while we're raiding during normal times. And a buddy of ours in Alaska who was in the Coast Guard. So I mean, it absolutely is an effective way. I mean, the Skype call that we're on right now while we're recording, we're in 4 different time zones.
Yeah.
So I mean, when I saw this story broke, my first thought was, are we really surprised by this?
No.
I guess I was a little surprised.
They've been on to me for years, right? A famous musician once said, "Just because you're not paranoid doesn't mean they're not after you."
Yeah.
So the last kind of, I don't even know what to call it. The last thing to kind of talk about this week are some totally awesome fake trailers for Lego games that a YouTube user, Brian Anderson, has been created. He did a Breaking Bad one a while ago, and then just recently he did Lego Last of Us, and they're both really awesome. They'll be in the show notes for you to kind of watch. Have you guys watched them?
Yeah. I would play them.
Yeah, them.
I would. I mean, they're not your normal kind of real childish ones where where you're for like Star Wars or even Marvel Avengers that just came out. They definitely have a little bit more grit and bite, but they would look fun. Yeah.
The Breaking Bad episode, you could mash A to cook. I thought that was great.
Yeah.
Just keep on mashing A, man. You keep on cooking.
And speaking of YouTube, make sure you check out our YouTube channel, Good Games Net. Actually, you can search that on any social media site and find us. Again, Good Games Net.
All right, I think that's it for this week, folks. Thank you for tuning in to the official Good Games Network podcast, officially titled Untitled. I think we're going to stick with that. So I am Mel on behalf of Zephyrus.
Goodbye and bananas.
Craig.
Good afternoon.
And Crime.
Word up.
Once again, I am Mel Menz, and we'll see you all next week. You all have a good one.
Sorry. That was Nick. That's all Nick's fault, actually. We can blame him. He texted me while he was standing right next to me.